I'm Erin Lawler-Patterson, the Goodness Chick. I'm an international speaker, life coach, author, and proud part of the Mental Health News Radio Network. Join me on the journey of empowering you to kick butt in life, not get kicked by life, addressing mental health, relationships, self-care, and giving back. So whether you or someone that you care about struggles with anxiety, depression, maybe has trouble sleeping, memory, rheumatoid arthritis, and really the list goes on and on and on. When it comes to CBD oil, has so many benefits. And with the holidays kind of soon approaching, if you're looking for, I'm going to say, a stocking stuffer, a perfect gift for somebody, hop on goodnesschick.com, check out my storefront. I've been using CBD Pure for quite some time now, and it is just tremendous in terms of the benefits. It is the legal form of marijuana, does not have THC in it, and does nothing but positives when it comes to having a less invasive approach to taking care of our bodies. Super awesome. So check it out on goodnesschick.com. And as I think about today, we are now in the middle of November. Holy cow, the year has gone crazy train quick. And I know I probably say that every year of my life, but it really, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the middle of November. And with that, next week is Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. It's definitely different this year, and actually was different last year. Last year we were in Cyprus, celebrated Thanksgiving. It is obviously an American holiday, but nonetheless, I made a turkey, rocked out some stuffing and some interesting creations abroad. This year we are in Florida. Haven't really got my foothold in here yet in terms of, meeting people. Family's not in the area. So we're kind of the three of us spending Thanksgiving by ourselves, which I'm kind of, it's okay. We're going out to dinner, found a place right up the road, get to ride my bike, right? And it's overlooking the ocean. So I can totally be cool with that. But with Thanksgiving, I think with anything, we can learn so many lessons if we allow ourselves to. And when we break down Thanksgiving, the more I kind of thought about it, it was like, oh my goodness, there's so many life lessons to gain from this holiday. And whether you're a Thanksgiving person or not, still things to learn, right? And we kind of go back to where the heck did Thanksgiving come from, right? So the Pilgrims, trekked through the ocean on a boat that was not a Carnival cruise line, wasn't super posh, and they faced an intense, brutal winter in New England, of all places. Cold, man, raw cold. And more than half of the Pilgrims, right, that landed in New England didn't make it, right, in terms of getting through the winter, getting through their voyage. And so backtracking a little bit, Squanto, who's a Native American, really him and his tribe really took the Pilgrims under their wing, right? And if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have survived. No chance, right? It just wouldn't have happened. And so you kind of think about a little bit of where Thanksgiving came from, right? Giving thanks, being grateful, and how important it is to have this component in our everyday life. And the holidays for a lot of people are hard. I get that, man. It's tough stuff. It evokes a whole lot of different emotions, whether that be grief, the reminder of a loved one not being here, whether it be families gathering and, you've got Uncle Ned who drinks a lot to, Aunt Margaret who, is going to talk about how, she doesn't have a job still and kind of whatever it is, the up and down that the holidays can kind of bring with them, all kind of wrapped up in one. But with that, we can cling to that and the negatives and the discomfort of the holidays, right? Or it's allowing ourselves to extract the positives. And I am such a believer, a firm believer in our mindset, really paving the pathway for how we look at things, how we handle things. Life can be kind of tough, dude. Life can be wicked tough. But what we do in our outlook of it really is important. No matter where the heck you're listening to from this, whether, you're listening in California, in the States, you're listening in Florida, you're listening in Costa Rica, South Africa, Dubai, right? The mindset that we cling to is important. And if you've been around negative people, you've been around cynical people, and that's their mindset kind of cocooned in that, it's not fun, at least not for me. And so mindset that I am choosing to take is important. And so with Thanksgiving, that this word that Thanksgiving, if we break it up, dude, thanks and giving is what it's all about. Thanksgiving. So we look at the aspect of gratitude, that it is absolutely making sure that we take time. I'm gonna rock it out really for the next, the 30-day challenge or the 60-day challenge or whatever you want to do, where gratitude, making it a part of our daily life and how we look at, especially during the holiday season, I do believe is really, really important. Reminding ourselves of what we're grateful for. Sometimes we can get distracted by life, right? I have this meeting today, this afternoon. I have to go to my kids' practice over here. I have to make dinner. I have this and that, and I've got to do up. And we're just spitting out all these obligations. And with that, it's easy for the holidays, a day, to slip through our fingertips and just become kind of, I don't want to say an obligation, but layered in and mired in that busyness, right? Well, if you even knew how many people I had to cook for, if you knew what was going on here, they want to watch the game, like where it's kind of taking the reins a little bit and allowing and making the holiday, this Thanksgiving, a mandatory requirement where gratitude is present. And what does that look like? Where it's met, whether it's before the meal or whatever you have planned for the day begins, and having people go around the table and giving thanks for what they have. And you can, kind of lay the groundwork where, this isn't for a 30-minute spiel. Everybody gets, 30 seconds to a minute and a half, whatever it is, put a time frame on it, and expressing gratitude, because not only are we as adults conveying this, right? This, what am I grateful for? But we're now laying that groundwork for our kids. And we have young people who are clinging to a mindset of gratitude, goes far. Where that plate, that turkey leg, the cranberry sauce, the cornbread, whatever it is, that delicious pumpkin pie. First of all, I mean, my first from scratch pumpkin pie in my life, and it was awesome. I'm so proud of myself. I was like, woo. But whatever it is, giving thanks, right? We can think, well, this is just here. It's so easy. This plate of food before me is just here. Wherever you're at, wherever you're eating, where did it come from, right? I mean, there are those of you listening that maybe you're struggling financially, or you just have had a really rough year. You've lost somebody that you love. You're just not looking forward to what lies ahead. It's still taking time to be grateful. It's taking time, and it can feel like it's easier said than done, but maybe that person that you lost, I'm grateful I had them in my life for this many years. I'm grateful for the relationship I had. I'm grateful for, I don't have a job right now, and I'm in between jobs and I'm looking and it's hard, but this time I'm now able, maybe to get a little more time with my spouse or my kids. It's seeking and fighting for gratitude. And yeah, it's easier said than done. But when we make it a part of what we do, it's life altering. It really is. And it's really, really easy to fall into this habit of thinking and almost expecting, this food I have before me, of course I have it. These clothes that I'm wearing, of course I have it. And when we take a step back and allow ourselves to just be grateful, right? Just be grateful for what we have. I don't believe the majority of people do that enough, and taking time. I open every meal before I eat with prayer, trying to instill that in my 4.5-year-old son can be challenging, right? I just want to eat. I just want to eat. Well, where did that food come from? Let's thank God and take some pause, right? I'm grateful. Thank you for this food. Thank you for my freedom in this country. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm grateful. God, thank you for the now. And there's times it's really hard to say. But when we pause, we're so busy being busy, it kicks us in the butt that it even gets in the way and can taint a holiday such as Thanksgiving, right? It can absolutely do that. I'm going to move on to the second one. So one of the life lessons of Thanksgiving is gratitude. Another one is the beauty in coming together, right? The beauty in coming together. And I know holidays for some of us is like, I love Thanksgiving. We all come together. Everything's awesome. And for some of you listening, where it's when somebody drinks more or we have, emotional crisis mode, or things are super uncomfortable. And that's hard, right? But it's finding ways where coming together, being collective, being united as individuals, being by ourselves, right? Or whether that's literally individually or going through life just trying to do it all by ourselves, is not how we were wired to be. There's beauty in coming together and finding, whether it's camaraderie or just sharing a meal and breaking bread with people, is a really rad thing. It's putting our day planners to the side, our phones, plug them in, not touching them, right? Maybe whipping out those old school cameras that you don't have to, like, it's not, checking text all the time or hopping on social media and scrolling at things that we're not even like, you're just mindlessly scrolling. I get in that habit and I'm trying to, boom, just become more present, because it's so important. It's so important, and not allowing distractions that are so unnecessary to overshadow the present, because it's important. And family coming together, and family comes in a lot of different forms. For some people, I know it's been popping up in my feed, has been Friendsgiving. And I think that's such an awesome thing. People coming together, your friends can be family, absolutely. And we're breaking bread and we're catching up and we're just being together, right? Dude, that's awesome. That's beautiful. And it can be, sometimes we have to be kind of intentional about it, where we have to schedule in advance an event, what people are bringing and what we're doing. And so it just, time doesn't get away from us. And then the day gets here and then, what do I do? And then there's more stress and it's unnecessary, right? I am not a planner. It's something I'm trying to improve on. For me, that I made reservations for next week was like monumental, right? But I wanted to make sure we had a place to eat that was comfortable, that, would work with the vibe of my son. We would have some good food, and we'd be, I'm looking outside and I see the ocean. Still wearing my flip-flops, boom. And it works, right? So what works for you? And I know that that's a pretty rad thing. And with that, the third thing I'm going to throw out there is finding joy in creating forms of tradition. Traditions can be a really cool thing. And whether that's Friendsgiving, whether that's, we're going to have, I know when I lived on the Outer Banks, one of the things we did for Thanksgiving, holy smokes, it was beautiful. We would have, we'd go and there'd be like an oyster roast at somebody's house. And, people, I miss those people a lot, just good human beings. And we lived on a cul-de-sac, and, you'd have people on golf carts and just going, and, you'd be cold and you'd be all huddled together and shucking oysters and just hanging out and being together. And they weren't, biologically family, but they were family. And it was just amazing how life can bring us together. And it was a tradition. It's a tradition I miss. It was such a different, unconventional, but still together type of thing. It was awesome. And as life has gone on over the years, I found myself having different forms of traditions, and that's okay. And with different people, right? Last year, we were, I'm trying to think of Larnaca, Cyprus. And no, it wasn't celebrated, but it was trying to, was finding our own vibe. Here in Florida, finding our own vibe. And past, I've been, whether it's with up in South Jersey or in Virginia, finding your vibe. And when we allow traditions, sometimes it's creating new traditions for if you're listening and you've had a really rough year, or Thanksgiving is a tough one because you miss somebody, right? It's okay to maybe start a different tradition. You don't have to do the same thing every year, because if doing the same thing that you did last year with somebody who's not here this year can be excruciatingly painful, it's okay to start new traditions and talking that out. It's okay. And if you find peace and solace in an old tradition, rock it out. It's finding what works best, what keeps that flow, what brings you joy. Because I know the holidays can be really hard, especially November. Many parts of the States, it's colder, it's darker, and you're like, bleh. The last thing I feel like doing is having a house filled with people. Sometimes we have to bust through that funkiness, right, to find joy in the long run. And for some of us, that's not the case. But figuring out, what's your vibe, what's your pulse, what is necessary when it comes to really making the most out of a holiday that is all about thanks and it's all about giving. And I'm going to move on to giving. as my last point for today, where when we get caught up, we get distracted when it comes to, a day, an event, we can lose out on moments of us being able to give of ourselves. And whether that's, calling a neighbor up the road that, they're by themselves and why don't you come over? Or it's, what, I know this person really likes going Black Friday shopping, but has nobody to go with. Dude, I am not a fan of Black Friday shopping. It evokes a crazy anxiety. But if it's, sometimes you go above and beyond and you give, or it's maybe going in the backyard and having a conversation with somebody, that's over that, has been having a hard time, and just encouraging them. It's giving. Giving can be a beautiful thing. And when the people around us see that attitude that we are clinging to when it comes to giving of ourselves, being selfless, it goes against everything we're told as outside of our doors, right? In society, it's all me, 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 right? I get, a partridge and a pear of me, right? It's all, that was actually funny. I thought that was a good one. It's all about us. It's not, right? There's no joy in just serving ourselves. There's not. We could trick ourselves into thinking that temporarily. It's fake. It's artificial. It's absolutely shallow. Finding joy, I believe it can be a high. I do. In finding joy in serving and giving to others. Absolutely. And it's allowing that veil that sometimes can exist in our eyes, that to go back and looking at people for their hurts, for their needs. And I mean that in a way that can get us excited about, handing somebody a cup of coffee that, is having a rough time, right? Sometimes our actions go a bazillion times further than our words, right? It's giving a wave to the neighbor up the road that, is just having a really hard time. Dropping them a note. Giving can be contagious. And I'll tell you something, our kids, our loved ones are watching, because we can talk about how excellent and epic it is to do, but when we don't connect those words with actions, they don't mean anything. We get excited about giving, I really believe that there's power in giving, and a mindset that I have. I'll share this with you as we wind down. I remember when the high school I worked at in South Jersey, and every morning before I would walk in the doors, I would pray and ask God. I would say, God, give me, the eyes of Christ, of Jesus, right? And well, what does that mean? When I walk down the hallways, not looking at what somebody's wearing, right? Not looking for that kid who's bugging out and looking at their actions, in class, but it's looking at people's hearts, right? That it's serving those kids in a way of like, that kid, they need breakfast, right? If I don't eat breakfast, I'm crazy trained by 10 o'clock. I'm nuts, right? But they haven't eaten breakfast for the past week. They go home, nobody's there, right? The electric bill wasn't paid. They're freezing at the end of the night. To that teacher who just, went through a horrible, gut-wrenching divorce, to fill in the blanks. When we go through our day and we ask, right? I believe that when it comes to prayer, I pray for the eyes of Christ, that it's like, looking and seeing people for outside the external. Where can I be used? Where can I get excited to bring a smile to somebody's face, right? Like, it's simple. It really is. It's getting our kids, as we're getting closer to Hanukkah and Christmas, excited about learning to give to others instead of just receiving. And when we deal with young kids, that's a really hard mindset to kind of crack in there. But over time, it might take years and years, it can happen. It can be absorbed. But when they see our actions, dude, it goes far. Getting excited about the thanks and the giving of Thanksgiving. It really is an amazing thing that, boom, can absolutely blow your mind and change your life. I want you to think about it. Getting excited about the thanks and the giving of Thanksgiving. And I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, my friends. Get your turkey on, or your tofurkey, or whatever it is, taking time to pause, give thanks, and give of ourselves. Wishing you an epic day of peace, love, and Thanksgiving goodness, my friends. If you enjoyed today's episode, there's a lot more encouragement and life-kicking strategies on goodnesschick.com. Have a great day, my friends.